What's going on, guys, and welcome to my driver tier list for the 2023 Italian Grand Prix. Sorry, this one's a little bit later than usual. I just haven't really had the time this week to get this video done, but we're here now. We're going to get it done. So let's get started with Alexander Albon. Finished P7 in the end. A very good weekend from Albon. He defended like crazy against the two McLarens for most of the race. Hamilton managed to just about get past, and after his penalty still did just about finish ahead of Albon, but P7 was definitely the best he could have done this weekend. A very good job from him. I mean, that Williams does seem to be quite good now. It's still quite difficult to gauge how good the car really is, because, you know, Logan just isn't really putting in the performances at the moment. So is it that Albon's just, he is where that car is supposed to be, or is he outperforming? Is Logan not performing? It's difficult to say, but I'd say at the moment Alex is doing as much as he can do. So I think I've got to give him an S once again. I'm giving him a lot of S's lately because he's doing such a good job. Maybe in the future, if it starts to become a habit that he's kind of always putting these performances in, maybe I'm going to start thinking, all right, you know, and especially if Logan, you know, steps up and starts getting points as well, then maybe I'll think, okay, maybe that Williams is just really good. But at the moment, he's doing a stellar job. I don't think he could do anything more. It's got to be an S. Fernando Alonso finished P9, a pretty forgetful weekend for Alonso and Aston Martin. Car just didn't have the pace this weekend. He qualified P10 last in Q3, and yeah, just didn't have the pace in the car this weekend. I can't really fault him too much though. I mean, it's just the car, but even if he literally got the maximum he could out of that car, I can still only really give him like a B. I think a B is pretty respectable. Yeah, there's not really much more I can give than that. He's got a couple of points at least, but I think that car just wasn't really there this weekend. But don't think I can give him any higher than that personally, because didn't really see a whole lot of him throughout the race. Valtteri Bottas finished P10, had a little bit of a squabble with Logan Sargent. I haven't actually seen that because I don't think they showed it on the live feed. But yeah, I think Logan smashed into the side of him or something, cost him a bit of time. But Bottas still came through for a P10 finish. Another point for Alfa Romeo. So I think that's a pretty good job. I'm going to put him in A. Yeah, to get that Alfa Romeo into points when there was only two DNFs. Yeah, only two DNFs to get that Alfa Romeo there. Pretty good job. The car didn't seem that great this weekend, so to score a point I think is pretty good. A car that was definitely not very good this weekend was Alpine. So we go Pierre Gasly, finished in P15. Now, he outqualified Ocon. Ocon did not have a good qualifying. I didn't see, but apparently Ocon was ahead before he, I think, had some sort of mechanical failure. I don't know. I didn't even realize Ocon had DNF'd. I looked at the stats afterwards and I'm like, oh, Ocon didn't finish, apparently. So I'd say the car just wasn't really there this weekend. I think it's a C for Gasly. He did beat his teammate in qualifying, but yeah, apparently fell behind him in the race, and then his teammate DNF'd. So not really much else I can say. I think Alpine just had a pretty miserable weekend after a podium in the Netherlands last time out as well. Lewis Hamilton, interesting one, finished P6. Did not have a good qualifying, convincingly beaten by his teammate Russell. I think Russell was 4th, Hamilton was 8th, I believe. So not the best qualifying from Lewis. And then in the race, he was making his way through. I don't think he was on the best strategy personally. You know, those medium tyres only really came good towards the end on that second stint. But yeah, then he had the contact with Piastri, which I fully put on Hamilton. And yeah, I think maybe it's a bit harsh, but I'm going to put him in C, because I think it's a pretty scruffy weekend for Hamilton. You know, the contact with Piastri, just being off the pace of Russell this weekend, I think a C is about where I've got to put that, because pretty messy weekend for his standards. Nico Hülkenberg finished P17. The two Hasses were the last two, P17 and 18, of the finishers. Haas had no pace. Hülkenberg was fine, but yeah, ultimately it just didn't have any pace. I think he did get into Q2, so good for him. But I don't think I can give him more than a C, because it wasn't a standout qualifying performance. And yeah, I think the Haas car is just absolutely nowhere in race pace at all. I think quite comfortably the worst car this weekend. And I think it's actually kind of becoming the worst car overall now. Now that you don't have De Vries in the AlphaTauri, Ricciardo and Lawson have been performing better, Yuki's still doing a good job. I don't think that AlphaTauri is the worst car anymore. I think it honestly might be the Haas now. And occasionally the Alfa Romeo, but the Alfa Romeo has its moments. So, yeah, bit of a poor one from Haas. Liam Lawson, it's an A, not quite an S. It was good, not quite. I can't put him quite an S. P11, only one position away from points. What a result from Lawson. Really, really good. He's doing such a good job. If he has another couple of races in that car, which it's looking like he might do, I've seen things about how Daniel Ricciardo probably won't be back until Qatar. So that gives Lawson, 2 more races? So yeah, I think he could possibly score points. It'll be pretty close, but yeah, P11 in his second race, very good job. Charles Leclerc, now this is where it gets interesting, because you of course had the Ferrari battle towards the end of the race. Both the Ferraris were pretty close to each other for the whole race. Leclerc ended up P4 in the end behind his teammate. He also got beaten in qualifying. And to be honest, he was actually falling back from the pack of... I'm not sure if it was when it was Sainz and Verstappen or when it was Sainz and Perez that he fell back a little bit and then managed to kind of bridge back. I think it was when Perez, because Perez got past Leclerc and then kind of dragged Leclerc along with him. It's a good weekend for Leclerc. I'm going to give him an A. I think it was a very good performance, but he definitely, Sainz was probably on top of him this weekend, and yeah, I mean, from a spectacle entertainment point of view, thank Charles Leclerc, because that was a very exciting end to the race. But yeah, just wasn't quite on his teammates' pace this weekend. So I think an A though, because it's still a good performance. 3-4 for Ferrari, always a good result. Only thing better would be a 1-2, or a 2-3, I guess, or a 1-3. Sure. The other Haas driver of Kevin Magnussen, I'm going to put him in D. Now, he didn't crash or anything this weekend, but he was, I think, second to last in qualifying, and was way behind. I don't know how far behind his teammate he was, but he was a fair way behind in the race as well. He's just gone downhill, Magnussen. There's nothing really more to talk about. I know the Haas is terrible, but he's just way off Hulkenberg as well, so it's going to be a D. Lando Norris, interesting one. He finished P8, was stuck behind Albon the whole race pretty much. That McLaren just not quick enough in a straight line to beat the rapid Williams. So, yeah, I mean, I didn't really, because of the track, didn't really expect him to beat Albon. So I think P8 was about as good as he could do. He did not out-qualify his teammate, though. He got beaten by Piastri in qualifying. And to be honest, I think Piastri was just as quick, if not quicker, than Norris this weekend, but got very unlucky. And also the team preferenced, they gave preferential treatment to Norris. They give him the undercut. And I think, although I know a lot of people are going off at Oscar saying, oh, the contact in turn 1, oh, that's not good, but he's just been undercut by his teammate. Like, I feel really bad for Oscar, and I really like Lando. My phone background is Lando Norris and the McLaren. But I feel really bad for Oscar because I think they're really preferentiating, is that the right word? Preferencing Norris at the moment. I'm going to give Norris a B. I think it was a good performance, but he was very whiny over the radio as well, very whingy at times. Yeah, I don't know, it's just kind of rubbed me up the wrong way. I really like Lando Norris. He's like my favourite driver, but I was a little bit eked off with him this weekend, and with the team, which, I mean, I don't think that's his fault, that's what the team have done, but, the team giving him the preferential treatment. Esteban Ocon, I'm going to give him a C as well. He got beaten in qualifying, but he was quicker in the race, and then he just went nowhere. He literally just disappeared from the race without a trace. There's nothing much more I can say about Ocon. Sergio Perez, I think it was a decent weekend for Perez. He came through for P2. It took him quite a while to get past the two Ferraris, but to be fair, those Ferraris were very quick, and in the end, he did come through for P2. It was an okay qualifying. Is a B a bit harsh, or is an A too lenient? I'm I'm going to give him an A because it's a step in the right direction. He's got that P2, and he did eventually manage to get past the Ferraris. So, yeah, it's kind of like a B plus A minus, but for the sake of this, I'm going to put him in A. Oscar Piastri, look, I'm putting Oscar in A. I know he finished outside the points, but I think he was on top of Lando this weekend, or at least on pace. He beat him in qualifying. He got undercut in the pits by his teammate, and the contact between Hamilton I don't think was Piastri's fault at all. So yeah, I think it was looking at a good weekend for Oscar, but he kind of just got screwed over. George Russell, I think a good weekend from him as well. P5 in the end, best he could do for sure. Didn't have the pace of the Red Bulls or the Ferraris, sorry. I think it's an A for Russell. One of his better weekends this season. He's been a little bit off lately, so to have a weekend where he's, I'd say, quite firmly on top of Hamilton, at least in qualifying in the race this weekend, is very good for him. Carlos Sainz, now it was difficult. He got pole position, which was amazing, and he did get that third spot on the podium. I'm going to give him an S. I will be honest, he had moments in the race where, I mean, the lockup for one, to be fair, so much pressure having Verstappen behind him, and he kept him back for like 15 laps. Did a really good job. That one lockup was just all that Verstappen needed to get past. And he was a little bit too aggressive sometimes on defending, but I think he never got a penalty or anything. So I think it was just right on the edge, but really exciting to watch. So not firmly on top of his teammate, but I think genuinely on top of his teammate this weekend. Leclerc, S performance, one of his best races, if not possibly his best race at Ferrari. Logan Sargent, it's another pretty disappointing one. P13 for Sargent. He is a decent way, 14 seconds or so, 14, 15 seconds behind points. When his teammate's way up there, I think that's pretty dismal. I'm going to give him a D. You know what? I'm going to be a bit harsh. I was just going to say C, but when your teammate's finishing P7 and you're in P13, which isn't too far behind, but when it was, P whatever it was for Alex, P6 or whatever, in quali, and P15 for Logan, something's wrong there. D for Logan Sargent. Lance Stroll, what were you doing, Lance? He finished where even is he? Can't even find him. There he is, P16. Way off. Only had the two Hasses behind him. E. I'm going to give him an E. He was dead last in qualifying. Dead last in an Aston Martin that wasn't good here, but Alonso still managed to get into the top 10, and then was way off his teammate in the race. E. Terrible performance by Stroll. At least he kept it out of the wall, but that's about the only good thing that happened for him. Yuki Tsunoda, he didn't even start the race. Literally broke down on the formation lap. I've just got to give him a C. It was a pretty good quali performance, P11 in quali, only just ahead by like a tenth or something, 10th and a half from Lawson, but that just shows how good Lawson did in that session. But I mean, he literally didn't do the race, so I just got to kind of go down the middle, give him a C. Max Verstappen, yes, S. I know it's getting boring. Yes, he didn't get pole. That car is always made more for the race, though. And it took him a little while to get past Sainz, but he was defending very well, and the Ferraris were quicker in a straight line. But when he sensed that opportunity, he went for it, and he absolutely buggered off in the lead. Seemed to have some sort of mechanical issue, maybe, right at the end of the race, but not 100% sure. But he slowed right down. He lost heaps of time on that last lap. But, yeah. S from Verstappen. He's now got 10 in a row. It's a new record. Crazy stuff. How far will he go? And then the final driver here, because that's Ricciardo and De Vries, we've got Zhou Guanyu, who finished in P14. A little bit of it wasn't awful, but he was a decent way behind his teammate. I think it's just got to be a C for Zhou. Your teammate's up in the points. He was a good, 16 seconds behind or something like that. 18 seconds behind his teammate. It's just an Alfa Romeo C grade for him. But there we go. That is it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.